All right, let's be honest, you've definitely heard of Donald Trump. Whether you think of him as a business tycoon, reality TV star, or the 45th President of the United States, one thing's for sure, he's a man who needs no introduction. But beneath that carefully crafted persona, there's a tapestry of fascinating, bizarre, and often downright baffling facts about the man himself. So, buckle up, dear viewers, as we embark on a whirlwind tour of the lesser known, the unexpected, and the downright strange when it comes to the Donald. Let's get started. Did you know his full name is Donald John Trump? I mean, it has a certain ring to it, doesn't it? Donald John Trump. It sounds like the name of a man who'd sell you a timeshare in a swamp and convince you it's a waterfront property. But let's be honest, Donald John doesn't exactly scream charisma, does it? It sounds more like the names you hastily scribble down on a fake ID application because you can't be bothered to come up with something more convincing. And yet, those two names, as unremarkable as they may seem, belong to a man who has dominated headlines, sparked endless debates, and, dare I say, fundamentally changed the way we look at politics, Twitter, and perhaps even ourselves. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The sheer ordinariness of his name juxtaposed against the sheer, well, Trumpness of his life. Born on June 14th, 1946 in New York City, Donald Trump is now 78 years old. Now picture this, it's 1946, the war is over, Frank Sinatra's crooning on the radio, and in a city that never sleeps, a future president is born. And not just any president, mind you, but one who would go on to tweet more controversially before breakfast than most world leaders do in a year. So, there he was, little Donny, presumably being pushed around in a gilded pram, completely unaware that he'd one day trade the skyscrapers of Manhattan for the slightly less impressive facade of the White House. It's a classic tale of rags to, well, more expensive rags, really. Trump's political affiliations have shifted over the years. He was independent from 2011 to 2012, Democratic from pre-1987 to 2009, and is currently a Republican. Now, I know what you're thinking, John. Political flip-flopping, that's about as shocking as finding a tanning bed in Trump Tower, and you'd be right, of course. But what's fascinating here isn't the flip-flopping itself, but the sheer audacity of it all. It's like he's playing political hopscotch, skipping from one party to another with the casual nonchalance of someone choosing which gold-plated elevator to use. And yet, somehow it worked. He managed to convince enough people that he was one of them, despite having previously declared allegiance to the other side. It's a testament to his, shall we say, persuasive abilities. Or perhaps it says more about us, the electorate, than it does about him. Chapter 4, Till Divorce Do Us Part, The Wives of Donald Trump. Trump has been married 3 times to Ivana Zelnikova, Marla Maples, and currently to Melania Knaus. Now, I'm not one to gossip, but 3 marriages? That's more times than I've successfully kept a houseplant alive. And let's be honest, each of these relationships has provided enough tabloid fodder to fuel 1,000 gossip magazines. There's Ivana, the glamorous businesswoman who helped build the Trump empire, only to see it crumble in a very public divorce. Then there's Marla, the actress who became embroiled in a scandal that involved, well, let's just say it involved a lot of hairspray and even more headlines. Chapter 5, The Trump Family Tree. More branches than a Christmas display. Trump is the second youngest of 5 children. Now, I don't know about you, but growing up with 4 siblings sounds like a recipe for chaos. I can only imagine the Thanksgiving dinners at the Trump household, the shouting, the one-upmanship, the endless battles over who got the biggest slice of, well, everything. And in the midst of all that, there's Donald, the second youngest, trying to make himself heard. Maybe that's where he honed his skills of self-promotion, of always needing to be the center of attention. Chapter 6, Teetotaler-in-Chief Trump's Unexpected Vice-Free Life. Interestingly, Trump does not smoke or drink, a decision influenced by the death of his older brother, Red Jr. Now, this one might come as a surprise. In a world where politicians are often caught with their hands in the cookie jar or, engaging in other less than savory activities, Trump's abstinence from alcohol and cigarettes is almost refreshing. Of course, there are those who might say that his vice is his ego or his Twitter account, but that's a debate for another time. The point is, even Donald Trump, a man who seems to embody excess in every other aspect of his life, has his limits. The land of haggis and lederhosen, unpacking Trump's ancestry. Trump is of German and Scottish ancestry. Now, this might explain a few things. The hair, for instance. Perhaps it's a genetic inheritance from his Scottish ancestors, a proud lineage of men who braved the Highlands with nothing but a kilt and a head of unruly hair. Or maybe his German heritage is responsible for his love of building, of creating structures that reach for the sky, much like the castles of his forefathers. The Professor and the Inventor, A Tale of Two Trumps. Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, was a professor at MIT and was allowed by the FBI to examine Nikola Tesla's papers and equipment in 1943. Now, this is where things get really interesting. While Donald was busy building his empire of casinos and golf courses, his uncle John was rubbing shoulders with the giants of science. Imagine the family reunions. So, Donnie, what have you been up to? Building another skyscraper? That's nice, dear. Your Uncle John just helped the FBI decipher the secrets of Nikola Tesla. Klondike Gold Rush to Real Estate Empire, the origins of the Trump fortune. The Trump family fortune began with his grandfather, Frederick Trump, who made a fortune operating restaurants and boarding houses in Seattle and Klondike, Canada. Now, there's a certain poetry to this, isn't there? From the rough and tumble world of the Klondike Gold Rush to the gilded towers of Manhattan, the Trump family has always had a knack for spotting an opportunity. It's like they have a sixth sense for making money, even in the most unlikely of places. Of course, some might say that their methods haven't always been entirely ethical. Chapter 10. Drumpf to Trump, a name change for the history books. The Trump family name was originally Drumpf or Drumpft, changed during the 30 Years' War in the 1600s. Now, I'm not saying that Drumpf is a particularly appealing name. It sounds like a combination of dump and grump, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly a ringing endorsement, but there's something about the name change that feels significant. It's like they were trying to shed their past, to reinvent themselves for a new world, and in a way, that's exactly what Donald Trump has done. So, you think you know Trump, and there you have it, some surprising facts about Donald Trump that you might not have known. From his German and Scottish roots to his teetotaling ways, the man is full of surprises. He's a walking, talking contradiction, a man who defies easy categorization. So the next time you see him on TV or hear his name in the news, remember this, there's more to Donald Trump than meets the eye. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content.